Hello, everyone. My name is Paul Long, and I am with Gisa Credit Union SBA Lending, and I am joined by the amazing
Seth Rudin from IBA. Thank you, Paul.
And today we are going to talk about the top 10 and a half obstacles to overcoming SBA transactions.
Don't forget the house.
Now, Seth, SBA has had a great reputation over the last 30 years of being fast and efficient, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, right?
Gets done in 30 days.
30 days, right? Or your money back. So there are some things that come with SBA transactions, but what's really important though to understand is that SBA has changed a lot of rules over the years that makes the process a lot simpler. So that's a very good thing. So let's dive in. Number one, the first one that is an obstacle is what we call the SBA error codes. We call it the code of death here at Gisa, and that's the 4363. And what that means is you could be under, that lack of better terms, investigation by the SBA or the IRS or something like that. So they put a special little code on your account. If you did a PPP loan and it hasn't been forgiven or you didn't use it properly, all of that's in that 4363. The biggest thing is you got to make sure you're working with a good lender to try to figure out a way to get around that and finding the reason for the code. A lot of times, like as of right now, I believe it's about 75 to 80% of 4363s are the complete death of a deal. And that is generated again by the SBA, not by the lender. So you may get approved through the lender, everything through, you get to SBA, and then you get the code at the end. Sometimes that can be a challenge, but you definitely can overcome that with some time and some effort on there. Number two, find out other affiliated businesses. Okay. So SBA has this thing called affiliation, where at the end of the day, a business only gets $5 million of the SBA pot. Okay. Technically $5.5 million if you go green. But if you have, let's just say you got a teriyaki restaurant and a smoke shop. Okay. A teriyaki restaurant has really nothing to do with a smoke shop. They're two different business models. They're not considered affiliates. Okay. So that's a good thing. But if you have somebody that has a teriyaki restaurant and a burger restaurant, okay, and they have 3 million on this loan and they want another 3 million on this one, that's over 5 million and we have an issue. So what's important is to understand with affiliation is what kind of business and what other SBA loans are out there for a borrower, because it's really underneath that, that kind of a number on there. Number three is title issues. Wow. Sometimes I had a situation where I did a gas station and there was a defunct oil company that put a thing on title that pretty much said, you know, hey, you're never going to sue us if there is any sort of leak. Well, that oil company has been out of business, Chapter 11, Chapter 7 bankruptcy. It's gone, but it's already on the title, and that's the issue that you got to get something removed. So having those title issues come up is something that can happen, but making sure that you have someone who understands title and willing to get their hands dirty to try to figure it out and try to get it taken care of is an important thing. But that definitely happens.
Pull the preliminary title report ahead of time.
What a concept, Seth.
Yes.
Yep. Here at Gisa, we definitely always do a initial pre-title report. So we're not doing things like that at the last minute. But
a good business broker does the same.
Good. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. Next, number 4, tax liens and credit scores. Yeah, I could not tell you, Seth, how many times I have asked people, is there any credit issues that I need to be aware of? No, everything's fine. I pull their credit and they're like a 620 or a 550. You should know what your credit score is. You should know if there's anything negative on there. We want to make sure that we pull credit as soon as the credit application is signed. We're not going to wait until the last minute. Seth has a horror story on that one. Uh, but we definitely want to make sure that credit is sufficient before we move forward. It's too critical, and also it's very critical for you as a person buying a business, that you know what your credit score is. And of course, you can always get those free reports on annualcreditreport.com in order to get your 3 bureaus for free. Any comments on that one there, Seth?
Absolutely. Give my horror story. I worked a deal for 68 days before the bank chose to pull the credit report, and found some they didn't like, and they could have pulled it in the first week or two, and we could have, addressed it much sooner. Really ticked all the parties off, obviously, and did not bode well for me. So,
yep, that'll do it. Pull credit. You never know what disaster, and that's just basic underwriting 101. You pull credit, right?
Agree.
Next one, multiple purchases at the same time. Have you ever had anything like this, Seth?
Yes. Buyers getting overzealous, trying to either buy a house and buy a business, or buy multiple businesses at the same time.
Yep.
Obviously putting the creditors, whether it's the residential and or the business loans, at pause, and causing a standstill or a solution that needs to happen.
It happens often. One transaction at a time.
Yes.
Close it, then move to the next.
Exactly.
Different multiple locations, that's a different story. But yeah. Oh, yeah. Specific time to closing. This one happens a lot, at least on my side. And that is, hey, I really need to close this in 15 days. And I'd like to win the lotto tomorrow, but we both don't get what we want in life. Set proper expectations and make sure that at minimum, you're giving an SBA lender 30 days. And I mean that as a minimum. And please don't use that card unless you need to. But 45 to 60 days is the norm for an SBA transaction. 45 is really the main target. We can close 30 days if everything is lined up in a nice, beautiful bow on top. And also this happens often. You go to another bank because maybe they promised you a super low rate or something like that. And then you only got, 20, 25 days left on your clock for financing. And you come to us and say, oh, I need it done. Well, you probably should have come to us first. So unfortunately, don't push the lender because of an oopsies. So
the thing for a broker, in our experience working with sellers and buyers, is the one thing that kills deals is time. Time kills deals, and you want to be expeditious, but you got to be realistic, set the right expectation, pick the right partners who promise the right things, but actually can back up what they say that they can do, and that they have the staff and the power behind them to support what the relationship person is telling you. It's really critical for success.
Very true. Next, every institution is different. That is a very big thing. Maybe every institution likes certain industries. Some don't like certain industries. Some have concentration issues where you already have so much of a certain industry that you can't lend any more on it. And so you have to go somewhere else. That's common. Specialties. Some are extra special in medical, where others are really amazing at something else. Sizes of deals, small, medium, large, all of that makes a difference. The amount of goodwill in a transaction makes a difference. So, even though I'm with an institution that does SBA lending and I love doing it, you should always make sure that you're getting multiple pieces of advice out there from different lenders to make sure it's a right fit, and as much as I don't like it, let us fight for your business. That's how it works. Another bomb that shows its ugly head occasionally is when the government can't get out of their own way and pass a budget. Well, why does that matter to you? Well, at the end of the fiscal year, which is September 30th for the US government, if they don't have a bill passed and we run into, say, October, or we have a stopgap or something like that, the SBA can't fund a loan if there's not a budget. So if the SBA either runs out of money or a budget is not passed, when there's talk of that as things go on, you better find yourself a PLP lender that can actually get you a loan number, because without a loan number, you're stuck until the government's reopened. And we'll get into PLP and non-PLP here in a bit. But it happens every year because we just can't figure out a budget, can we, Seth?
I had a transaction last year.
Yeah.
Fortunate to get it closed. We pushed really hard to get a loan number, and we got it done at right at the last moment, but we got her done.
I have done plenty of deals getting numbers at 11 o'clock at night before a government shutdown. It happens.
Yeah.
Next, personal residence as collateral. If you have equity in your home and your loan amount's over $500,000, I'm coming for your equity. Love every SBA lender on earth because we have to. It's the law. Under $500,000 is optional, but let's be real. Lenders like collateral. So it is definitely something that you need to have a good discussion on. But understanding that is a big thing for you to understand that we need some skin in the game, and the equity in your house is some of that skin in the game. Number 10 is down payment issues. So there's a lot of creative ways to get your down payment. There's the ROBS program where you can borrow against your 401k. You can borrow a down payment. Not my favorite because you're just adding on more debt. But it can happen. Gift money, that's another way you can, if you have a rich uncle or something like that, they can give you the down payment. That works. And another down payment issue that happens is funds coming from another business. You're sucking the liquidity out of one business to feed another. Doesn't that other business need some working capital? So sometimes you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, literally. And that can be a little bit dirty when that happens, but definitely it's something that can be overcome. And last but not least, the 10.5, and that is PLP versus non-PLP. Now, PLP, preferred lending provider, which means that an institution makes the decision on behalf of the SBA. We have to go to SBA, we have to get a number. Once we get the number, we're done. We make the decision, we underwrite. We as an institution do it. A non-PLP has to underwrite it through their institution, send it to SBA. They have to underwrite it and they have to approve it. Well, gee, that takes a little bit more time. So Seth, like you said, time kills all deals. That could be an issue if you're not working with either a PLP lender or an extremely smart SBA person who works at a non-PLP shop. Does that kind of sum that up, Seth?
I think it's great. Obviously, got to be accurate. It's subject to the government work, time, and schedule. You're competing nationally as opposed to regionally sometimes. So,
yep. So hopefully that helps you if you're looking to buy a business. These are little things that we kind of come into. Of course, anything can happen during a transaction that we did not list, but these are definitely the most common. I definitely want to say thanks, Seth, for your time with IBA, and we look forward to seeing you on another video.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks, everyone.